All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to dive a little bit into a human design series, and we're going to focus on the 5 different energy types. And I'm starting today, we're going to talk about the generator energy type. And I'm starting there. Generators, manifesting generators, they are the most prevalent in the population. Combined total, they make up somewhere between 66 to 70% of the population, depending on what resource you reference. But generators, I'm starting with that. That's near and dear to me because I am a generator. So I want to kind of touch base on this. And I know generators. I have a family full of generators, and I have one projector in my family. But I can tell you that just because you're a generator doesn't mean you're going to operate in the same fashion as another generator. We like across all of the energy types. Just because you're one thing doesn't mean you're labeled for life. And this is like the tunnel that you have, the path that you have to walk. We are all very different. So I just wanted to start talking about like what makes you a generator. So last week I did a video. I went through the different, like it's just an overview of the different energy types. And I did a screen share. I pulled up a human design chart and kind of showed you the different like definitions and just did a big overview. So if you want to go back and look at that video, I believe that is in the guide section here. So what makes you a generator? So just a stat, if you're just taking pure generators, aside from manifesting generators, pure generators make up around 36 to 37% of the world population. And if you're a pure generator, this means you have your sacral center defined. So that is that like life force energy center, that sacral center. So that is the first big clue. You're going to have your sacral center defined. And then what separates you from being a generator versus a manifesting generator is that you do not have any channels connected from any one of your 4 motor centers to the throat center, because that throat center is that manifestation, because all roads, like whether you're coming in from the crown center or up from the root center, all channels, all roads lead to the throat center. So that is where manifestation occurs. That's where you are able to like communicate your ideas, and you're able to manifest and start to like put things out into the world that you are going to take action on. So to be a pure generator, you won't have any channels connected from one of your motor centers, or a motor center to the throat center. And the 4 motor centers in your body, just to review, are your root center, solar plexus, sacral, and heart. So if you have a channel that connects those 2 centers, you'll have definition in those 2 areas, the throat center and one of the motor centers. But pure generators do not have any connections. You can have connection to the throat center, but just not from one of the motor centers, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like what differentiates the 2. And then diving into, if you're a generator, what your strategy is. So this is where it can get a little interesting, because you get your human design chart, and then you figure out, okay, well, I'm a generator. Great. What does that mean? As a generator, you have this associated strategy. So this is like your life strategy, how you apply this going through life. Typically you want to combine like your strategy and your authority. We're not going to get into authority today, but as a generator, your strategy is going to be to respond. And you're kind of like, great, I have all this energy. I can do all these things. And the thought of responding is like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Like sit and stare at the wall until something happens? Like, so what it means is, it just means that you as a generator, and I thought this was really neat when I looked some of this information up more for myself, was that because you're made to respond, your energy, because you're a generator and you have that life force energy center, you have a really powerful like aura, like energy that just kind of projects and protrudes. Like you give life energy to others that don't have that definition, to the, projectors, the reflectors, like you give that life force energy out. So that energy is like, it's a part of you, and it's just kind of like, you're putting it out into the world just by being you. So that aura actually will bring opportunities to you. So this is the cool thing to think about, is like just you being you and doing the things that light you up and taking like action that feels good. Just you being you, like the environment, the world, like people, opportunities, just things are brought to you. And it's not like these big monumental things. It can be like these small things in the environment that you can respond to, the small things in other people, other friends, other communities that you're a part of, in your business. Like you just are designed to have this aura, this energy that just projects out into the world, and things come to you. So the key with this is that your power is in your ability to respond to what the world and the environment brings to you. And when you respond correctly to that, you then have that, like the ability to put out more powerful energy, because you're acting in alignment. And when we pour our energy into things that light us up, we create more energy that actually, like I like to say, like runs the world. Like you put out energy that others can take in and soak up, like and that's like that life force energy that you're putting out. So you're designed, like as generators, we're designed to use our energy in those ways that light us up. And we're designed to, use that energy up, and almost to the point where you use it, you exhaust it, if you're really truly pouring yourself into the right things, and then renew it each night. Like it's just there for us every day. And yes, you can kind of categorize anybody that has like a sacral center defined, that you have like this, like not like never ending source of energy, because it just consistently renews within us. But that's kind of the power part of it. So if you're just kind of really starting to take notice of what's going on around you, what's happening around you, even the smallest things that you can respond to, starting there, like that's going to lead and bring new and exciting opportunities to you. The hard thing of this, so that's kind of your strategy. The last thing I wanted to touch on was just kind of this not self theme. So your strategy is to respond. If you are stepping outside of that, and a lot of us do, I still struggle with this. We end up in this frustration. We end up in burnout because we are not living life within our strategy, and we're likely not following our inner authority. Again, I'll touch on that in another video. But when we are not responding correctly, we end up in frustration, because either we are one causes to this is if you are responding like you're trying to initiate things. So here's a really good example. So as a generator, especially if you have other motor centers defined, you have that sacral center. But if you have like your root center defined, if you have your heart center defined, if you have more of these other motor centers, you have all of this energy. You're just kind of wanting to put it somewhere too. And it's hard to kind of take that step back and just like not initiate things, because we have all this energy. Why can't I just go create this? Why can't I just go make this happen? So a lot of us will try to initiate things. We'll try to make things happen. And that's where we get in this cycle of like, well, if I just work harder, I want this. If I just try to force this to happen, if I just put in like another hour, if I work on the weekends, if I work in the evenings, like if I just do more, I can make this happen. And I can say for me, I have solar plexus, sacral, and I have 3 of the 4 motor centers defined. So even if I exhaust my sacral energy, I tap into that heart center, and that's your willpower. I can willpower anything, but it likely doesn't end up well for me, because I'm not acting in alignment. I am not acting within my strategy, because I'm trying to make things happen. So in that case, you're a generator trying to live as a manifester, because manifestors are meant to initiate things and inform others, and they're meant to do the reverse. And so that's one way that you can end up in burnout, is you're just trying to like make things happen. You're not responding to the things that are showing themselves to you in everyday life. And the other thing is that you are, if you're not responding correctly. So here's the other thing too, just because you can sit and you can respond to things. Most of us have been responding to things incorrectly based on our conditioning. So this is where your inner authority comes into play, because if you start to like tune in and listen to your body and understand where your authority center is, where you get those hits of like, this is for me, this is not for me, where you learn to like tune into yourself and trust yourself and make those decisions versus making a decision because you think you should, or because you think somebody else thinks you should, or because you don't want to just disappoint somebody else. Then you're making decisions and you're responding based on more of your conditioning, and conditioning can happen in any centers, particularly in the centers that you have that are undefined. And you can still have conditioning in the centers that are defined as well. But those instances where we are conditioned to respond in a certain way, we override and we ignore what our body is telling us and what is right for us. Then we end up in situations where we are heading down a path because we think that's what we should do. Like I went to college and ended up in a career path, and you can go all the way through college, and I can tell you what, that piece of paper does not guarantee happiness. That guaranteed like safe salary, which is not safe any these days, does not guarantee your happiness. When you completely ignore what your body, like your strategy and your authority are trying to tell you, then you end up in that frustration, you end up in burnout, and that's how you can end up kind of out of alignment with where you're supposed to be. And this is true like in life. This is true in the business that you're trying to work through and building. It's true in a lot of different areas. So this is kind of just an overview of what to look for, like if you are, especially if you're a generator. And just a couple things to before I wrap up is like, so I'm a generator, but I have different centers defined. I have different channels. I have different gates. I am here for a different purpose than my husband, who is also a generator, and then my other younger daughter, who is also a generator. We all come in different flavors, like different purposes, different views on the world, and different, even though like I myself, I have an emotional authority, and so does my daughter. We are way different in how we have how our emotions play a role in our decision making, way different. So that's just a way you can kind of look at, like, if you look at your chart, if you wanted to pull your chart up and just take a look at what centers are defined in your chart, and just kind of take some of these things and like just start looking at your strategy. So if you feel like you're a generator and you feel like there's been things that have been burning you out, you feel like you've been stuck somewhere, this is where I would look at, have you been the few decisions you've made, how have you like come to make those decisions? Were they decisions that came from within, where you knew that these were the next right steps for you? Or were you making these decisions because you thought you should, because sometimes fear plays a role in this? I am 100% guilty of that, where you just get this fear, like I should be further along, so I'm going to go create this and put this out to the world, versus taking a step back and looking at the things that you're putting out in your business, the decisions that you're making, if you're, in your career path or just in life, and then the next steps that you have for any decisions that you're making or looking at making in the future. Like, is that something that's right for you? And starting to kind of tune into that. And especially today, I think that what I want you guys to walk away with today, because we're not getting into like authority, we're just talking about like the generator, the energy type, and then looking at your strategy. Are you kind of sitting and like just like being present for those opportunities to arrive? And they can come from somebody reaching out and saying hi, like in your DMs. They can come from, a new opportunity, like somebody you meet at the grocery store. They can like just looking for these little opportunities, and I'm not going to say that each one of them is going to combine to create like this huge explosion of like money and like next level stuff. But it's just, when you get to that point where you're just starting to start small and paying attention to the little things. And I'm also telling myself that too, because I struggle with that too, because I want things to happen now. I want them to happen now. I've got the energy for it. I want to just like, let's go. But when you take a step back and you start to look at different things and whether or not they feel right to you, and whether or not they're, and just recognizing them for the opportunities. That's like the other thing I want to say is recognizing what is presented to you, what is already present in your life, what the world, the environment, the universe, what all of that is bringing to you as a generator, and just being open to that and recognizing that. And if it's already present in your life, being thankful and grateful for that. So I'm going to end it on that note. I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you guys have questions at all, I will drop a link probably to my calendar for one-to-one human design readings. I'm going to open up some more spots. I sold out the first batch of design readings this week, so I'll probably open up some more spots on my calendar, and I'll drop all of that information below. But if you have questions at all, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I am happy to help, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right. Bye, everybody.